Are you struggling to get collaborations that are such a good fit that the people who join your email list are ready to buy customers? If you're not, then you're going to want to pay attention to what I'm talking about in this video. I'm going to share what I call the GIVE framework that will ensure every collaboration that you either host or participate in is a win-win-win scenario. Are you ready? Let's dive in. So, if you've ever experienced participating in a collaboration and then within 7 to 30 days, almost half of the people have unsubscribed, this video is for you. That happened to me back in 2016, which is when I started using collaborations in my business. And if you're a coach or course creator, you definitely should be using collaborations to build your email list, particularly if you don't want to spend a dime on ads. Collaborations are definitely one of the fastest ways to build your email list when done strategically. So in this video, I am going to walk you through my GIVE framework. And this ensures that whether you're hosting a collaboration or you're participating in one, that everything is a good fit. In other words, it's a win-win-win scenario. So what do I mean by that? Basically, it's a win for you, obviously. It should always be a win for you. Otherwise, why are you doing it? A win for your audience, and then a win for your collaborator, regardless of whether you're hosting or participating, right? It should always be that. And the GIVE framework gives you a process, a checklist to basically just tick off and go, yep, this is going to be a good fit. Because just because you can doesn't mean you do, right? We don't always have to participate in everything we're invited to. And not everyone we invite when we're hosting a collaboration is going to be a good fit either. But the GIVE framework ensures that for the most part, that is always going to be true. So let's dive in. So the first letter in the GIVE framework is G, and the G stands for growth. So when you are looking at participating in a collaboration, and that's pretty much how this framework is going to work best for you, is this a true growth opportunity? Is this actually going to have the right people join your email list? And that is the number one thing that you always want to be thinking about, is the growth potential, right? Are you actually going to get people joining your email list? So there's lots of nuances to that, but basically, do you have the ability to get in front of more people than what you currently do, right? That's the win from your perspective. That's the growth potential. Can I get in front of more people than I normally can with what I'm currently doing? Yes or no? Then, from an audience perspective, are you going to be providing them with access to other resources and tools that's actually going to help them? Right? I always think about my audience first when it comes to any collaboration that I participate in, to really think through, okay, are the things that are going to be part of this collaboration, are they actually going to help my audience? Now, there's a layer of, I can't, fully control what goes into a collaboration if I'm not hosting it. But for the most part, is the theme of the collaboration making sense with my audience, right? That's how I want to think through that. And then, obviously, thirdly, from a collaborator perspective, the growth potential is literally they get exposure to your audience, right? And that is true for any type of collaboration, whether you're hosting or participating. So you always want to check. First things first, is the G in the GIVE framework growth potential? Is it true? And is it a win for all three parties involved? And then the next letter is I, which stands for income potential. So when you are considering a collaboration, so whether that's an individual collab or whether that's a group collaboration, whatever that looks like, what is the potential income? Now, this is obviously going to be based on your own funnel and what that looks like. Now, I'm a huge fan of setting up some type of income amplifier whenever I participate in a collaboration, but also when I host. And you just have to decide, what does that look like? And do you have the ability to do that? Because if you're participating in some collaborations, they may say, no, you can't present any offers, can't have an order bump, can't do anything like that. So you've just got to decide, is that going to be a good fit for me? And what is the opportunity for me on the back end if I can't do anything on the front end? And then obviously that means that you should be strategically choosing offers that naturally lead people to where you want them to actually go. That you're not just choosing a random offer that doesn't really lead people anywhere. Because if you're intentionally building your email list in this way, you definitely want to think through, okay, so if I'm bringing these people in, what is the customer journey going to look like for the next 60 to 90 days? So that's the win for you. Now, the win for your audience is that obviously they're going to get exposed to new offers, new tools, new resources, and potentially they're going to be getting access to discounts from the new people's worlds that they've just joined. So you don't necessarily have to worry about that so much because at the end of the day, you can't control what your audience does, but you know that that is going to be an opportunity for them. And then obviously the collaborator win is pretty clear. If they are providing affiliate links and they've got some type of upsell on the collaboration, then they're going to earn money. So it's a pretty no-brainer from their perspective. You don't necessarily control that either, but it's just more of a checkpoint. Do I feel okay with that? Right? Am I going to get a kickback from that? All of those things. So that is G and I in the GIVE framework. So then the next letter is V, which stands for visibility. And this is pretty much true across the board, right? It's totally going to be a visibility experience for you, depending on the collaboration. So that's something that you definitely want to consider is what is the collaboration? How many people are involved? What's your potential exposure? Those types of things. So that's how you can work out what your visibility piece is going to be and whether you like what that is going to look like. And part of that is also the requirement to share. What does that look like? Do you need to be posting on social media? Are you having to do an email? Like, what does that look like? Because that is part of that visibility piece. And then obviously from an audience perspective, they're going to now be exposed to a lot more stuff, right? They're going to have access to tools and resources pretty much the entire way through this thing. So it really does start with audience. And that's why at the very beginning, growth is the very first thing that you want to consider. And if you tick that off, everything else is pretty much going to be true. But it's just good to just have this kind of framework that you can just refer to again and again. And then obviously visibility for your collaborator is that they're getting exposure to your audience. Now they're obviously going to get exposure to everybody else's audience. That's the whole point of a collaboration. But if you were doing an individual collaboration, this is where you would want to definitely pay attention to what this is going to look like. How is this playing out? All of those things. So that is GIV. The last letter is E. We're going to talk about that now. So E is for effort required versus expected return. So this is probably the piece that would kind of seal the nail on the coffin, as it were, when it comes to deciding fully whether a collaboration is going to be a good fit or not. And that is, what is your expected return for the effort that you're actually putting into this? Now, again, it depends on the type of collaboration. So, for example, if you were participating in a summit, so you were doing a talk for the summit and you're also providing a gift, there's a little bit of more effort involved than if you were just contributing to a bundle or a giveaway, for example. Conversely, if you were doing a guest podcast interview, if you were doing a newsletter swap, those require a little bit more thought and preparation. So when you're going through and considering expected return versus effort involved, you just want to make sure that everything else is kind of supporting all the things that you're doing. So what I mean by that is what you don't want to do is participate in a summit, for example, do your talk, and then the free thing that you offer is your lead magnet. It can work, but it might not be the thing that really speaks to your ready to buy customers, which is who you're really looking to attract. So you really want to think that one through. And then what is happening after people join your world? What are all the pieces there? What's the potential income? All of those things. So the rest of the GIVE framework kind of is funneling you to expected return versus versus effort involved. So you just kind of want to balance that. You definitely want to think through that. Does this make sense? What have I got going on? All of those things. Then, from an audience perspective, you also are going to want to make sure that they are getting high quality content, that they're getting access to tools and resources that are actually going to help them. Now, this is where you can definitely ask the contributor, particularly if you're participating in something like a giveaway or a summit or a bundle, what other people are offering, those types of things. You can often tell what that's going to look like just from the contributor requirements and things like that. And you really just have to trust your gut as to whether this is going to be a good fit and whether the returns are there. And sometimes you can't know this until you've done a few to really understand what is going to be a good fit and what isn't. So you just want to kind of roll that through your own kind of gut and balances and decide, is this actually going to be something that is going to get me what I'm actually after, which is brand new, ready to buy customers joining my world, right? That's the whole point of participating in collaborations in this way, is to grow an audience of ready to buy customers, right? People who really are the people that you can genuinely help. So that is the GIVE framework. So growth, and then income potential, and then visibility, and then expected return. Those are the four things that you just want to run through and decide, is this going to be a win-win-win scenario? It's pretty much always going to be a win for your collaborator, right? That is always going to be true. You definitely just want to do gut checks along audience and you. Is this a win for your audience? Is this a win for you? And if you always come at it from the perspective of, this is the thing that is going to help my audience, then you're pretty much going to be on the right side of it being a win for you as well. When it comes to participating and creating collaborations, the number one thing that you always want to remember is, am I doing this for the right reasons? As in, is this a win for me? Is this a win for my audience? Is this a win for the collaborator? And if you can answer that straight away, then you are golden. So if you've been following along in this video series where we've been talking about how to use collaborations to build your email list, the next video that is coming up on your screen right now is actually going to walk you through the entire process so that you can set yourself up for success. All the things that you need to think about and do if you want to participate in a collaboration, and then potentially what it might look like if you want to host a collaboration. I'll see you in that video.